If you look at Palestine, there are 108,000 Palestinian kids that don't go to school today. That's up from 4,000 10 years ago. These kids are growing up under the shadow of an occupation. They're scarred by conflict. They see no hope, no future. How can we expect for there to be any sense of normality without an education? You know, and I personally have given up on the politicians of this generation on both sides of this conflict. And I feel that the future is with the younger generation. And, you know, the fact that we need to try to erase the prejudices and the deeply entrenched hatreds. And that can only happen through a quality education. Of course, we are the largest hosts of Palestinian refugees.
Well, Jordan has always been a mediator. King Abdullah is playing a very active role in that process, and
but
will continuously.
That be something?
Well, I view myself and His Majesty as a team, and anything that we can do to further peace in our region, we are more than willing to do, because I think it's not just peace for the Jordanians, for the Palestinians and Israelis, but it is peace for the whole world.
If there had been some more women among the leadership in the Middle East, do you think that the chance of peace would be closer?
I do, because women have a very clear perspective on issues. One thing that I've been looking at during this process is there has been so much focus on the politics, but not enough focus on the people. And at the end of the day, we want a peace for the people themselves. So we want to alleviate the suffering of the person on the street. And I think women, more than anybody else, are very understanding of that. They want a better future for their children. They want to make sure that their children can go to school and come back safely, that their husbands can go to work and come back safely. Just having that simple understanding, I think, will go a long way in putting things into perspective for our leaders.
My husband once said that Jordan is stuck between a rock and a hard place. And at the time, he was actually referring to the Palestinian-Israeli conflict on one hand and Iraq. So this was some years ago. It was before the Arab Spring and the series of conflicts and crises that came with it. Right now, it just feels like the Arab world has gone through a series of earthquakes, and we're still feeling the aftershocks day after day after day. You know,
been a political problem that has devastated the area for 35 years. And it's the people that have paid the price, Israelis and Palestinians alike, and the rest of us that are being dragged into it. And I think that people realize that unless there is a Palestinian state, a viable Palestinian state linked to 242 and 338, there's always going to be turmoil, there's always going to be destruction, and there's always going to be terror. And so are we going to spend another 10 years going around in circles, or we're going to put our foot down and say, look, there will be a Palestinian state, but at the same time, Arabs will have to accept Israel as part of the neighborhood.
What if we could leverage the internet's tremendous ability to bring people together, to bridge the gulf of perception and trust between the Muslim world and the West? Because that is one of the social challenges I worry about the most. Surveys show a great divide in how people from East and West see each other. And too often, instead of reaching out, we're turning away. So I got thinking about how we could scale up this kind of digital dialogue. And that's how the launch of my YouTube channel came about. My goal was to try to dismantle the negative stereotypes about my region that undermine so much trust between the Arab world and the West. So far, I've posted 5 videos on topics from women to terrorism and Islam and more. And I'm trying to meet the high standards of openness the next generation demands. I'm sure the YouTubers out there will be quick to let me know if they think I'm just feeding them a line. Many of you have been fortunate enough to experience my side of the Middle East. The warm hospitality, the peace-loving people, the stunning landscapes, the side that your algorithms might not prioritize. So I'd like you to join me in the conversation, because we need more voices. I don't think I need to tell you how to upload a video response, but I'd like to tell you why you might want to. There is a hunger out there. It's a hunger for dialogue, a hunger for respect, a hunger for mutual enlightenment. And the world needs your help.
Hi everyone and welcome to the Palestinian Corner from Montreal, and this is our 34th episode devoted to Queen Rania of Jordan. Since marrying King Abdullah when he was a prince, she has become known for her advocacy work relating to education, health, youth, cross-cultural dialogue, and international issues. She is a modern monarch who is an avid user of social media, maintaining pages on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. She has been given various decorations by international agencies and government. Rania was born in Kuwait to Palestinian parents, Faisal and Ilham Yassin, her father from Tulkarm and her mother from Nablus in the West Bank. She attended the New English School in Kuwait, then received a degree in business administration from the American University in Cairo. Upon her graduation, she returned to Amman and worked in marketing for Citibank, followed by a job with Apple Inc. She met Abdullah at a dinner party in August 1992. 6 months later, they were engaged. In June 1993, they were married. The couple has 4 children. Her husband became a king. 6 years later, she was proclaimed his queen in 1999, the same year. She has become an international model for women in the Arab countries, indeed in the world. In November 2000, the United Nations Children Fund, UNICEF, invited Queen Rania to join its Global Leadership Initiative. At the World Economic Forum in Davos in January 2007, she was named UNICEF's first eminent advocate for children and their honorary chairperson, and so the list goes on. Her list of national and international decorations are even longer. She also received several international awards. At home, she has longer list of projects, for she has patronized several initiatives in education and learnings in Jordan and the world. In April 2008, the Queen launched Madrasati, My School, a public-private initiative aimed at refurbishing 500 of Jordan public schools. She also initiated a program called My School Palestine to combat deteriorating conditions of Palestinian schools in East Jerusalem under the auspices of Jordanian Awqaf, or the Ministry of Islamic Affairs. As a Palestinian, I wish from my heart that we have an active Palestinian woman similar to her as a wife to our president, even prime minister. I don't think I ever saw the wife of our president in a public event. حقا يا ريت رئيسنا الفلسطيني أو رئيس وزرائه عندهم شخصيات مثل شخصية الملكة رانيا. نعم، عندنا فتيات ونساء فلسطينيات كثيرة مثل رانيا، لكنهم بكل أسف مهمشات. سبب ظهور شخصية الملكة رانيا يرجع بالدرجة الأولى لشخصية ودعم الملك عبد الله. لا شك هو رجل منفتح دوليا وواضح، بيشجع المرأة لتعطي ما عندها من نشاط وإبداع. الملكة رانيا من أكثر السيدات الأوليات في الوطن العربي والعالم بدون شك، ومهتمة بحقوق الطفل والمرأة والتعليم والمهاجرين وحتى الدعوة لاستعمال النت لنشر التقدم والسلام العالمي. هي لا شك موديل للمرأة في كل مكان ودولة. ولدت رانيا في الكويت لأبوين من أصل فلسطيني، والدها من طول كرم وأمها من نابلس، وتزوجت عبد الله عام 1993 قبل توليه العرش، ولقبت ملكة الأردن بعد عدة أسابيع من تتويجه عام 99. بعد أن أصبحت السيدة الأولى في الأردن، مارست نشاطات تتعلق بالاهتمام بالشؤون الوطنية مثل البيئة والصحة والشباب والتعليم وشؤون أخرى. هذا واستلمت الملكة رانيا أكثر من 20 جائزة دولية وشهادات فخرية تقديرا لجهودها وعملها في مختلف المجالات. أنا أؤكد لكم أن كثير من النساء العربيات لا يعرفوا هذا الكلام. مبروك على الأردن وشعبه، ملكته وملكه، ونأمل أن نرزق كشعب فلسطيني بل كل بلادنا العربية بقيادة حكيمة يعرف يحكي إنجليزي ومختلطين بالعالم وفهمانين القضايا الدولية. الملكة رانيا هي بدون شك امرأة موديل في هذا العام. يعني مش كثير يكون عندنا رئيس فلسطيني له زوجة، أو حتى تكون عندنا امرأة فلسطينية رئيسة وزراء بحنكة وتفهم وشخصية الملكة رانيا. يعني بدل هالإرهاق في صراعنا مع إسرائيل وخطابنا الإنساني والعالمي الضعيف. شكرا.
I was born and grew up in Kuwait. I've always visited Jordan and Palestine to visit some relatives throughout my childhood. I then went to university in Cairo, Egypt. And I believe that that has given me a very good overall understanding, an Arab perspective on issues.
It's my real privilege to present the Global Trailblazer Award to Her Majesty Queen Rania Al Abdullah of Jordan, who well deserved.
People are not leaving by choice, and that's the difference between migrants and refugees. You know, migrants choose to go to another country because they want a better job or they want an education, but refugees are running for their lives.
She worked at Citibank and Apple Computer in Jordan before Prince Abdullah swept her up into a fairy tale romance.
How did you know that this was the person you wanted to marry?
For me, it was, I know it sounds a bit corny, but love at first sight.
It was King Hussein who popped the question to Rania's father, a Palestinian doctor.
He proposed. He said, "We would like to ask for your daughter's hand," and he was very romantic, and he really was very happy that his son had found the right person.
6 months later, Rania and her prince had a grand royal wedding. Abdullah was not crown prince then, but all that changed when King Hussein returned from what proved to be unsuccessful cancer treatment in the United States.
Those were very, very difficult days for us. We were feeling such a sense of loss. Not only was he a grandfather to my children and a father to my husband and a father-in-law, but he was a friend.
And in his last act of statesmanship, the dying king decided that Prince Abdullah would succeed him. Rania, like more than half of Jordan's population, is of Palestinian origin.